The polished black sedan rolled into the small roadside garage with a scream of worn brakes, but it wasn't the expensive car that made everyone freeze. It was the moment its wealthy owner stepped out, laughed at the grease-covered single father tightening a rusted engine with his bare hands, and casually called him the kind of man who would never belong anywhere near success. 10 minutes later, her laughter disappeared. Hanging from the mechanic's neck, hidden beneath his faded work shirt until he leaned over the open hood, was a silver compass-shaped necklace she had not seen since the day her father was buried. It was the one family treasure that had vanished without a trace. Her heart stopped. Everything she believed about the man standing in front of her shattered in an instant. If you believe kindness, forgiveness, hope, and second chances can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs encouragement today, and subscribe to our channel to become part of our growing community. Your support helps more stories of hope reach people who need them most. Every morning, before the sun climbed high into the clear blue sky, Rowan Mercer unlocked the weathered doors of his tiny repair shop on the edge of a quiet American town. The building was old, the paint had faded years ago, and the tools inside had been repaired almost as many times as the vehicles he worked on. Yet everything in the garage was clean, organized, and cared for with quiet pride. Rowan believed that no honest job was small when it was done with integrity. After losing his wife to a sudden illness several years earlier, he had become both mother and father to his young daughter, Elodie. Every dollar he earned paid for school supplies, groceries, and the little dreams she carried in her heart. He skipped meals whenever money was tight but never allowed his daughter to notice. She believed her father could fix anything, and Rowan worked every day to deserve that faith. Around his neck hung an old silver compass pendant attached to a worn leather cord. It had become part of him. Customers occasionally asked where it came from, but Rowan always smiled gently and changed the subject. The necklace was more than jewelry. It reminded him of the stranger who had once changed his life when everything had fallen apart. Across the state, Vivian Hawthorne had built one of the largest automotive technology companies in the country. Newspapers praised her intelligence, investors admired her confidence, and competitors feared her determination. Yet success had slowly built walls around her heart. Since losing her father many years before, she had buried herself in work until compassion became something she admired in speeches but rarely practiced in real life. She believed effort determined worth, and anyone who remained poor simply had not worked hard enough. It was a belief that sounded convincing inside glass offices but often collapsed when faced with real human stories. That afternoon, while traveling to inspect one of her manufacturing facilities, an unexpected mechanical failure forced Vivian's luxury sedan to stop near Rowan's modest garage. Her assistant immediately complained about the dusty surroundings, while Vivian stepped out wearing an immaculate business suit that looked painfully out of place among oil stains and worn concrete. She glanced around the garage with obvious disappointment before her eyes settled on Rowan beneath another vehicle. His hands were black with grease, his clothes carried years of honest labor, and exhaustion rested quietly across his face. Without knowing a single thing about him, she assumed she already understood his entire life. She made a cutting remark about how some people were simply born to remain underneath other people's cars. Several customers looked away uncomfortably. Rowan did not respond with anger. He simply stood, wiped his hands on an old cloth, and politely began inspecting her vehicle. His silence somehow irritated Vivian more than an argument would have. She expected resentment, excuses, or admiration for her wealth. Instead, she found calm professionalism. Rowan diagnosed the problem quickly and explained that a damaged cooling component had nearly destroyed the engine but could still be repaired before permanent damage occurred. While leaning over the engine compartment, the collar of his shirt shifted, revealing the silver compass resting against his chest. Vivian felt the world narrow into a single heartbeat. The pendant was unmistakable. Her father had commissioned that exact necklace from a local craftsman decades earlier. Tiny hand-carved markings along its edges represented family values he had treasured throughout his life. No duplicate had ever been made. After his funeral, the necklace mysteriously disappeared from the family estate. Investigators never found it. Confusion overwhelmed every emotion inside her. Anger mixed with disbelief. Before thinking, she demanded to know where Rowan had obtained it. For the first time that day, Rowan looked genuinely surprised. He removed the necklace carefully, holding it with the respect usually reserved for precious memories rather than expensive possessions. He explained that nearly 20 years earlier, while struggling as an unemployed apprentice mechanic, he had stopped to help an elderly man whose classic pickup truck had broken down on a deserted country road during a scorching afternoon. Rowan spent hours repairing the vehicle even though he desperately needed to attend an important job interview afterward. The old gentleman repeatedly offered money, but Rowan refused because he believed helping someone should never depend on payment. Before driving away, the elderly man removed the compass necklace from around his own neck. He insisted Rowan accept it as a reminder that true character always points people in the right direction, even when life loses its direction. Rowan reluctantly accepted only because refusing seemed to disappoint the grateful stranger. Vivian's breathing became unsteady. The details matched stories her father had once told her about helping people who expected nothing in return. She remembered him leaving home one morning wearing the necklace and returning without it, smiling more warmly than usual. When she had asked where it was, he simply replied that it had found someone who needed it more. She had forgotten those words for years. Tears threatened to appear as memories she had buried beneath business meetings and financial reports suddenly returned with painful clarity. Her father had never measured people by money. He admired kindness above achievement. Somewhere along the road to becoming successful, she had abandoned the very lessons he spent a lifetime teaching. Looking around Rowan's modest garage, she noticed details invisible to her earlier. Children's drawings decorated one wall. A carefully repaired lunchbox rested beside a toolbox. A tiny pair of shoes waited neatly near the office door where Elodie often changed before doing homework after school. Nothing spoke of failure. Everything spoke of sacrifice, responsibility, and love. Vivian quietly asked about Rowan's family. He shared, without self-pity, how losing his wife had changed everything. He explained how he worked 6 days each week while still attending every school event, every parent meeting, and every recital because he wanted his daughter to know she would never face life alone. His words carried no bitterness, only determination. Something inside Vivian finally broke. She apologized sincerely, admitting she had judged him before learning anything about him. Rowan accepted the apology with quiet grace that somehow made it even more powerful. Holding on to resentment would not improve either of their lives, and he had learned long ago that forgiveness often freed the person giving it more than the person receiving it. Vivian insisted on paying far more than the repair cost, but Rowan politely accepted only the normal amount. Honest work deserved honest payment, nothing more. His integrity reminded her again of her father. Over the following weeks, Vivian could not stop thinking about the encounter. She visited the garage several more times during business hours, not because her car needed repairs but because she wanted to understand the values that had shaped Rowan. She met Elodie, whose bright smile filled every corner of the little workshop. The young girl proudly spoke about becoming an engineer one day so she could invent safer vehicles that protected families. Her dreams reflected both innocence and remarkable determination. Vivian quietly established a scholarship in Elodie's late mother's name, ensuring the little girl would never have to abandon her education because of financial hardship. She also partnered with Rowan to create an apprenticeship program for struggling young mechanics, offering training, fair wages, and opportunities that many had never imagined possible. Rowan insisted every participant learn not only technical skills but also honesty, compassion, and respect. The small garage gradually became known throughout the region not simply for excellent repairs but for changing lives. Young apprentices arrived uncertain about their futures and left believing they could build meaningful careers without sacrificing their character. Customers noticed something different about the place. People smiled more often there. Strangers helped each other. Hope seemed to linger in the air alongside the familiar scent of engine oil. Vivian discovered that success felt very different when it lifted others instead of separating her from them. Boardroom victories brought temporary satisfaction, but watching a struggling family regain stability because someone believed in them created a deeper joy she had not experienced since childhood. Rowan never asked for recognition. He simply continued fixing cars, raising his daughter, and quietly proving that greatness rarely announces itself. One warm afternoon, months after their first meeting, Vivian stood outside the garage as Rowan adjusted the familiar compass necklace around his neck. She no longer saw it as a missing family heirloom. She understood it had never truly been lost. It had been exactly where her father intended it to be, resting on the shoulders of someone who lived according to the values it represented every single day. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. Before you go, tell us in the comments, have you ever misjudged someone before discovering the incredible kindness hidden inside them, and what did that experience teach you? As Rowan locked the garage at the end of another bright afternoon, Elodie slipped her small hand into his, and together they walked home beneath the golden daylight with hopeful hearts. Vivian watched them leave, smiling through grateful tears, finally understanding that the greatest inheritance her father had ever given her was never a company, a fortune, or a necklace. It was the timeless lesson that kindness always finds its way back, forgiveness heals wounds pride never can, and the people the world overlooks are often the ones carrying the richest treasures of all.